It was 1991. I was driving around in my Sprite Orange 1979 Dodge Aspen RT. I had empty cans of Surge on the floorboard, a sagging headliner that touched the top of my head that reeked of Drakkar Noir. But I needed a new pair of speakers. I didn't have much money, so I bought a pair of used Realistic Minimus 7s. And the problem that most people have is the problem that I had back in 1991, and that's just not having enough money. But those Minimus 7s got more music played through them, and they even went across the country to both coasts when I was in the Navy. The point is, even though I thought I was making a compromise with those speakers because they were less expensive and smaller, it turns out it was the right decision the whole time. And the little affordable Underdog speaker I'm going to talk about today reminds me, it has the spirit of the Realistic Minimus. These two speakers give me similar vibes, but one is $1,000 more expensive than the other. I did something on this video I've never done before. I took the top 10 albums from 1967 and I took a song off of each album, and that was my test track song. I used it to compare the two speakers. But by doing that, I discovered something that I never thought was a thing. It's a bit of a surprise. You'll have to watch till the end to find out what it was, though. People always say they don't make it like they used to. Some companies not only look like they used to, which is super cool and vintage looking, but they also build them like they used to. Do you have hair on your face? Probably do. Well, we're going to talk about Henson shaving today. If you're my age or older, you probably started out with like the multi-blade razors and all the hair gets stuck in between the blades. That's pretty much the whole reason why I grew a beard, because I was disgusted with shaving. Well, if I knew about Henson shaving, I probably would not have a beard right now. People get such bad razor burn that they look into hair removal stuff. Electrolysis, I think. And because of all this craziness, you probably have an apathy towards shaving, which you shouldn't. Henson Shaving wants to change shaving. Not through gimmicks, not through subscriptions, but through ground-breaking research about what makes your skin all nasty because of razors. And Henson wants to change the paradigm from getting a smooth shave to getting a skin-friendly shave. The AL13 safety razor. Henson makes these. They don't have them made. They actually make them in the same machine shop, apparently. Made parts for the Mars rover and the International Space Station. Both are still working, which is good. And because they're so good at manufacturing, that means that Henson razors are going to be safer on your skin. Built with a 30-degree angle. And the blade extends only 0.0013 inches past the shaving plane. And that's less than a human hair. You remember Fly with Jeff Goldblum? It's less thick than a Jeff Goldblum insect hair from that movie. And here's the coolest thing. Uses standard double-edged razors, which can be purchased anywhere. The blades themselves cost a dime, 10 cents. That's 2 nickels. If you put it together, a dime. Get 10 of them for $1. I can do this math all day long. Cartridges are expensive, $2 to $4. They lock them up. They're so expensive. They're behind locked glass doors. That's how expensive other razors are. Not a lot of data out there on skin irritation, but they've partnered up with some science people. And guess what? Results are promising. Here's the takeaway. I'm gonna have to read this too. Delivers a significantly lower arrhythmic response. Isn't that when you have a heart attack? No, it's not. It's when you get razor burn. So you need to check out Henson Shaving, okay? 10 cents for a blade. There's a link in the description. You can also get razor blades from them. This is 100 of them. Stop thinking about it getting a smooth or close shave. Think about it as a healthy shave. And because of Henson, I just might shave my beard. Probably not. But there's a link in the description because you probably shave, and you should check out Henson Shaving. They're fine products from Henson Shaving, which is made in Canada by real people. The music that was popular when I was really coming up was hair metal in the 80s and then right into grunge. So the sound that I loved, that I was drawn to, was a bit of punch on the bottom, a little bit of sparkle on top. Because most of this music wasn't recorded very well. And when I had my EQ, I would go whoop, make it a smile. Boost the bass, boost the highs. So that's still a sound that I kind of prefer today. And this speaker kind of came out of nowhere. It is the Morel Avira 600 something. It's a 6.5-inch woofer, two-way speaker. Looks really cool, sounds even better. But it comes in at $1,200, which not everyone can afford. But most people, if they scrimp and they save, they can afford the Cambridge SX50. I'm gonna run through these records real quick, which is crazy. There's 2 Beatles albums on the top 10 records of 1967. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. Number 2 record was The Doors, The Doors. Number 3 was Jimi Hendrix Experience, Are You Experienced? Number 4, The Beatles, again, Magical Mystery Tour. 5, Rolling Stones, Between the Buttons. Never liked the Rolling Stones. 6, The Moody Blues, Days of Future Past. 7, Aretha Franklin, I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You. 8, Jefferson Airplane, Surrealistic Pillow. 9, Cream, Disraeli Gears. And 10, Bob Dylan. Never liked Bob Dylan either. John Wesley Harding. It would be too easy to do The Doors because I've actually listened to that record. Let's go with... I'm calling a bit of an audible. Respect didn't sound very good. It didn't seem very dynamic. So I'm listening to Drown in My Own Tears. The bass is also a little bit more pronounced and a little bit more drums. This is kind of crazy because I love the Morels, and that really I consider to be the best bookshelf for me. Now it's my preference, my bias as far as the sound signature that I like. But I just put up the SX50s. To me, sound more natural and less peaky. She seemed like she was coming forward a lot more on the Morels. And there's some nice bass that's coming in around 150 hertz. Even though these are quite a bit smaller speakers than the Morels, they're still handling the bass really well. I'm not listening super loud, 70 dB, but the Cambridge SX50 at $200 are gonna win the Aretha Franklin Award against the $1,200 Aviras. Don't you want somebody to love? There was an interesting, it was in Cable Guy with Jim Carrey, and they're doing karaoke, and I think he sings this song, and it's hilarious. Let me know if you remember that scene from the wonderful movie classic, critically acclaimed, probably not, Cable Guy with Jim Carrey. Man, this album doesn't sound very good. This thing is all mid-range. Wow. The Morels don't like this recording. They don't like this song especially. There's a bump around 4 to 6K. Very, very sibilant. It's unlistenable on these speakers. We're gonna have to move on because this is painful on both speakers. Please, Jimi Hendrix, save me. Ooh, snare drum coming in hot. Woo! Jimmy's coming out of the right speaker. All right, we got a bump at 2,800 hertz. All these records are coming in hot, man. At least this one is way more dynamic than Jefferson Airplane. Save Me, Cambridge. I like this song. I don't know if any of these are remastered. If they aren't, they need to be. Coming in even hotter on the SX50. Not nearly as peaky on these, so when he comes in, he's really high up, like 3,800 hertz. Handled way better on the Cambridge SX50. Not nearly as dynamic as the Morels, but it seems to be controlling this 1967 mid-range fury in your face. 67 was the year of harsh mid-range and bad recordings. They can't be this bad. I thought stuff was supposed to be recorded better back then. Too much mid-range. We're moving on. Maybe Disraeli Gears is recorded better. Maybe the Cream will rise to the top. I'm going with the deluxe edition. Hopefully that one's remastered. God, this one is sibilant too. It's at least a little bit better, or this recording's a little bit easier to listen to. At 35 seconds, there's a meh with the guitar. 48, 49 seconds. Sibilant. Okay. I'm going to put the Morels on, and then we're going to listen to one more song from, we'll do some Beatles. No, we'll do The Doors, because at least I think that record's recorded well. And then we're going to do something recent that I know is recorded better to see if either both of these speakers are sounding terrible today or if it's just these terrible recordings. All right, Morels, let's see if you do Strange Brew better than the Cambridge. I don't think they're going to, because I think there's even a bigger peak on these. Oh man, 48 is so hot. These Morels are better, more dynamic on this song. I think this song is pretty good until he starts singing. Save me, Sergeant Pepper. A little help from my friends. Sing you a song, 20 seconds, sibilant. This record seems a little bit better recorded, but there's no bottom end. Okay, there's a big bass fill about 37 seconds in. Sounds really good on the Morels. The first 9 seconds of this song is literally unlistenable. The harmony is way better on the Morels than it is on the Cambridge. I'm pushing these little Cambridges pretty hard, and they're doing well. A little bit better controlled in the mid-range, but it's still peaky. I think it's got to be these recordings. This reminds me of the way that Metallica and Anthrax and metal was recorded in the early to mid-'80s, where it was all mid-range. This is a little bit more dynamic than some of that. Let's try to break on through to the other side of good recordings. Absolutely sounds way better. Maybe it's recorded with Mr. Morrison a little bit back, but this is actually listenable. All right, sounds great on the SX50. Now, I'm willing to bet that this sounds better on the Morels. Yeah, Morels are doing way better. His voice is brought up just a little bit. There's a little bit more sparkle. Cymbals, really well done. There's more air on this recording. Let's listen to something that wasn't recorded 58 years ago. Although The Doors sounds really good. Whoa! The bass. I got faked in by all the 1967 recordings where they didn't record for bass. Deep Six, this is a Marilyn Manson song off the Pale Emperor, which I think is a fantastic record. It's not super heavy, so even if you're not a fan of that genre of music, I think you could listen to Pale Emperor and at least appreciate what's going on with the recording. And what's going on with Deep Six in the first 9 seconds is a lot of spatial stuff. And a lot of bass, air, soundstage. I think this would be a fun song to play on your system at home. You can play the home game. So 20 seconds, it seems like that's the end of the intro, and a guitar comes in on the left speaker. We got sibilance going on this too when he says narcissist. Morels have a lot going on between 4 and 6K, so this is a sibilant speaker. Still good, but I'm listening at 83 dB, so that's pretty loud. But the recordings are way different. Way different. I don't know how y'all did it in 1967. My wife is really into birthday cakes. Not making them, buying fancy cakes from expensive bakeries. The irony is that she will get me or the kids super expensive birthday cakes with special frosting, right? And it's supposed to be special cake made by the most talented confectionists. Is that a baker? Put it in the comments. What is What is a confectionist? What is a confectionist? Ah, I was right. It's the art of making sweet foods. Anyway, fancy birthday cakes. I didn't like them. I liked the cake I got from Walmart with the whipped cream frosting. I like that cake. I like a $10 birthday cake better than a $100 birthday cake. And in this case, I like a $200 pair of speakers better than a $1,200 pair of speakers. Within reason. The Morels do a better job of instrument separation, obviously play a lot bigger, and they play wider, more spacious. But there's something going on in the mid-range, and there's something going on between 4 and 6K. That does not combine well with 1967 recordings at all. I would choose the Morel for the Pale Emperor. On all the 67 recordings, the Cambridge sounded better, with the exception of Break On Through by The Doors. This is kind of amazing because I didn't realize just how important speaker pairing was with recordings, and not necessarily just recordings, but the era of the recordings. Very interesting. However, the good news is I think the Cambridge SX50s get you 85% of the way there, and in some cases further than there when compared to the Morel Aviras. I think the Cambridge Audio SX50s are the current version of the Minimus 7s. A lot of my impressions have to do with the way that I hear music. I made this video. I thought it was great. Obviously the populace did not, because not many people watched it. I'm going to link it right here though, but it's about how our anatomy, how our brain, and how basically we all have independent hearing, which means I don't hear like you and you don't hear like me. I go into some of the science behind it, but it's super interesting. And you might figure out why you like a certain type of speaker while it is unlistenable to others. I'll link it right here. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.